Y'all remember when I recently covered the Scuf Instinct controller for Xbox? I absolutely loved it. I raved about it. I praised it. And I still use it to this day, and it's solid if any of you are interested in the durability of it. Today, we're going to take a look at this Scuf Reflex, Scuf's first PS5 controller. Is it as good as the Scuf Instinct that I talked about? And in your box of the Reflex, you're going to get your detachable braided USB-C cable, 2 extra thumbsticks, 1 small and 1 tall with a little dome right here. And you're gonna get a manual, and of course, your controller. And just taking a look at the controller once over here, it still has the same charge port as a basic PS5 controller. You got your thumb paddles up here, little design on the back of them, if you can see that in the camera. Flipping it over, this is where you get the juicy stuff. You see your paddles right there. You got that same little hexagon pattern right there, right along in the grips. Now, as we're looking at this, with the grips, there's actually 3 different models you can get of the Scuf Reflex controller. Starting with the Reflex, Reflex Pro, and the Reflex FPS, with different prices going from $200, $230, and $260. I'm going to pull you down here and show you some of the differences. And the differences are kind of mild, honestly. Start with the basic Reflex. You have no grips, the rubber grips I showed you on my version here. Coming to the Pro, the version we have that we're going to talk about, well, you have the rubber grips. Going up to $260 to the Reflex FPS Pro, or just FPS, you have no vibration and you have no adaptive triggers. Hold up. Are you guys with me? Those versions right there, okay, going from $200 to $260, you're talking about a $30 difference. $30 for these grips on the back? Again, as you see them right here, you have those rubber grips going around the back right there. Up top here, it's actually a hard plastic. Down here, it's more grippy. And yeah, it's a great feel in the hand. It is seriously grippy. Like, my hand is on its controller. Is it worth $30? Let's talk about the regular PlayStation controller. No, it's not nearly as grippy, but it's perfectly fine. Going up to the FPS version, where you don't get the adaptive triggers, you don't get vibration. Well, we just took out all the immersion. And I would only class that FPS version if that is all you play. And I'm sorry, if that's all you play on your PS5, you are missing out on some fun. Those PlayStation exclusives of why we own a PS5. And with that FPS version, losing the adaptive triggers, which are just so fun and immersive. Just basic vibration, the rumble, the feedback, which again puts you into the game. I think that FPS version would be better if you could disable that stuff, which heck you can do on the basic PS5 controller anyways, right? I think it should include it. But again, you should have those basic functions to be able to disable it. All right, so let's go on and focus on the Reflex Pro, the one we have here. Now that we got it out of our system, that don't go by the FPS version, right? Now, taking a look at the weight of the Reflex controller, we are gonna get 306 grams, and it does feel as premium as a stock PS5 controller, coming in at 278 grams. So looking at this right here, well, it's sleek, and again, in the hand, it feels just like the basic PS5 controller. If you look at them right here, the exact same right here. The buttons, they feel the exact same, right? The thumbsticks, they got the same tension right there. The softness of the D-pad, it feels the exact same. If there's something different, as you can see, you got the PS button right here, and then you have your home button here. This one feels a little bit recessed, but again, you're pretty much pressing that once. You still have your mic mute button right down here on the Reflex. It's the same with the PlayStation. Really nice. And again, you still have that same charge port up there. And then you do have your USB-C port on the top. But of course, where the Reflex is going to get juicy is underneath the controller here with your paddles. And a really cool thing, when you look at these paddles, they're fairly recessed with the controller, right? They're not bulging and sticking out too much, kind of like you've seen with a lot of controls where your paddles just kind of fly up here, just fly down to the bottom. They're quite smooth going in there, but yes, they do still stick out. Whenever I get this controller in my hand right here, I kind of feel it back there. If you look at me holding it kind of like this, right, my hands are pretty much right on the paddles back there. Now, when I go to a regular PlayStation controller, it kind of wraps around, right? And it comes down through the back right there. Perfect ergonomics. Again, when I'm holding a Reflex, I don't have that perfect ergonomics right there because my hands are always resting on those buttons. But again, I don't want to sound dramatic here or anything. As flush as they are right here, I do feel the difference from from the stock controller to this with those sticking out. That's honestly what I really loved about the Xbox One, because it really didn't change that too much. It's sitting right there, my finger sat right in between them, and it felt like I was holding a stock Xbox controller. Now you can also remove some of these paddles. You pull them out just like that. You usually got to pull out the bottom one because the top one's going to bump on it right there. And you can run one paddle if you want. Bam, just slide it in, and they slide in fairly easy, but they're also firm, like they're not going to accidentally fall out on you. You can run one paddle, which honestly makes it a little more comfortable, but my finger still kind of touches in right there. If you see, bam, it slides in right to that paddle. So as far as the paddles and just basically using this controller, keep it in your hand, for me, it wasn't uncomfortable, but it wasn't comfortable. I felt myself trying to leave my fingers off the buttons right there. They're not really soft press. You got a nice tactile click. But again, having my hands rest on those paddles was annoying when I really like just how my hand wraps around the stock PS5, or same with the Instinct controller. Now, as far as mapping your paddle, super easy. You got your profile button here, which you can save 3 profiles on it. You just hold that button down, then pick whatever button you want, bam, press that button with the paddle, and it's gonna save right to it. Easy breezy to adjust your profiles and your buttons. But as far as customizing it, well, you're kind of limited. You really have this little bit down here that you can just pry up on both little corners, bam, and pop it out. You got that little deal, and then a little ring around your thumbsticks. Now, I don't see where you can buy these replacement parts yet, but apparently they're going to be coming. And then, of course, your thumbsticks, which you can just pull off. And that's honestly it. And by the way, talking about this little piece right here, yo, it feels incredibly chintzy, like very chintzy. Feels like one of those little plastic pieces you get out of like a model kit, like if you're building a model, you know? That's exactly what it feels like. Very chintzy. So if you stuck with me to this point of the video, I'm sure you can catch my drift of the Scuf Reflex controller. It's almost more or less like, why? Especially that FPS model. It's just crazy that they excluded a whole bunch of features out of the awesome PS5 controller for that. I can't recommend that one at all. And Scuf, I think you need to kind of compile these and have like maybe just 2 versions. Why have 3? You should have 2, and on the FPS one, you can't take away the features that make a PS5 controller so great. You just can't. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by and watching my review on the Scuf Reflex controller. I hope it helped you out. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. And I hope I get you next one. Bye now.